There is a version of you that existed before life became so complicated, a version that could enjoy an ordinary morning, laugh without forcing it, sit alone without feeling lonely, and go through an entire day without constantly wondering whether life should be better than it is. That version of you may not be gone. It may simply be buried beneath expectations, comparison, disappointment, pressure, and the endless habit of looking outside yourself for permission to feel okay. And what if you don't need to completely change your life to find that person again? What if the life you're waiting for can begin with something much smaller? A few quiet habits, repeated consistently, can change the way you experience the life you already have. Many people spend years believing that happiness will begin when something finally changes, when they make more money, when they find the right person, when their career improves, when their family understands them, when they move somewhere better, when people finally respect them, when they become successful enough to stop worrying, so they keep postponing peace. They keep telling themselves that happiness is waiting somewhere ahead of them, at the end of a road they have not yet reached. But the Stoics looked at life differently. They understood that circumstances matter, but our relationship with circumstances matters even more. You can have everything you once prayed for and still feel restless. You can have very little and still possess an extraordinary sense of inner peace. The difference is not always what surrounds you. Sometimes it is what you repeatedly allow to occupy your mind. Being happy with yourself does not mean pretending that everything is perfect. It does not mean becoming indifferent to your ambitions or accepting a life that needs improvement. It means reaching a place where you can look at yourself honestly and still refuse to become your own enemy. It means you can recognize your weaknesses without despising yourself, recognize your mistakes without allowing them to define you, and recognize that your life is unfinished without concluding that it is worthless. One of the smallest habits that can begin changing this relationship with yourself is learning to stop turning ordinary moments into problems. Think about how often the mind takes something neutral and immediately adds a story to it. Someone doesn't reply to your message, and suddenly you are wondering whether they are losing interest. You make a mistake, and instead of thinking, "I made a mistake," your mind says, "I always ruin things." You see someone succeeding, and instead of appreciating their success, you begin measuring your own life against theirs. You wake up tired one morning, and your mind starts telling you that you are falling behind. The event is often small. The interpretation becomes enormous. The Stoics understood the importance of separating what happens from what we tell ourselves about what happens. Not every thought deserves your belief. Not every emotion deserves your obedience. Not every inconvenience deserves an entire day of your attention. Imagine waking up and discovering that it is raining on a day when you had planned to go outside. You can spend the morning fighting reality in your mind. You can complain about the weather, become irritated, and allow something completely outside your control to determine your mood. Or you can acknowledge the rain and ask a different question: what can I still do with this day? That small shift is powerful. You are no longer demanding that reality cooperate with your preferences before you allow yourself to be at peace. You are learning to live with reality instead of constantly arguing with it. This does not mean you never experience disappointment. You will. You will have difficult days. People will disappoint you. Plans will fail. Opportunities will disappear. Some seasons of life will hurt more than others. Stoicism does not ask you to become emotionless. It asks you to become stronger than your automatic reactions. And that strength begins in ordinary moments. The next habit is learning to enjoy something without immediately trying to turn it into something more. Modern life trains us to consume experiences instead of actually experiencing them. We eat while watching something, we walk while looking at a screen, we listen to someone while preparing our response. We sit quietly and immediately reach for our phones because silence feels uncomfortable. Even when something good happens, we sometimes rush past it because we are already thinking about what comes next. The result is strange. We can have more access to entertainment than any previous generation and still struggle to enjoy a quiet evening. The Stoics repeatedly reminded themselves that life is found in the present moment, not because the future is irrelevant, but because the present is the only part of life you can actually live. Try giving your full attention to one ordinary thing. Drink your tea without scrolling. Walk without constantly checking your phone. Listen completely when someone speaks to you. Watch the sunset without photographing every second of it. Eat a meal slowly enough to notice that you are eating. Sit in your room and allow yourself to exist without needing constant stimulation. These things sound almost too simple. That is exactly why they are powerful. You don't always need a new experience. Sometimes you need to become more present for the experiences you already have. There is something deeply sad about constantly waiting for extraordinary moments while ignoring the ordinary moments that make up an entire life. Your life is not going to consist only of major victories. Most of it will be mornings, conversations, meals, walks, work, rest, errands, ordinary responsibilities, small disappointments, unexpected laughter, quiet evenings, and moments nobody else will ever see. If you cannot learn to appreciate the ordinary, you may spend your entire life waiting for happiness to become impressive enough to notice. Another habit that can transform the way you feel about yourself is keeping one small promise to yourself every day. This is not about creating an extreme routine. You don't need to wake up at an impossible hour, exercise for 2 hours, read 50 pages, meditate for an hour, and completely redesign your existence overnight. Choose something small. Perhaps you decide that every morning you will make your bed. Perhaps you will walk for 10 minutes. Perhaps you will read a few pages. Perhaps you will spend 15 minutes working on something important before opening social media. Perhaps you will clean one part of your room before going to sleep. The action itself is not the main point. The real transformation happens when your mind begins learning that your word means something. Every time you promise yourself something and repeatedly abandon it, you quietly weaken your trust in yourself. Eventually you begin saying, "I know what I should do, but I never follow through." That creates an internal conflict. You want to respect yourself, but your actions keep teaching you that your own commitments are negotiable. The opposite happens when you keep small promises. You begin thinking, "When I decide to do something, I can rely on myself." That is a powerful form of self-respect. You don't need to become perfect. You need evidence that you can trust yourself. And this is where discipline becomes different from punishment. Discipline is not about making your life miserable. It is about proving to yourself that your moods do not control everything you do. You may not feel like taking the walk, but you go anyway. You may not feel like putting your phone away, but you do it anyway. You may not feel like working on your goal, but you give it a little time anyway. Each small action becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. Eventually, you stop needing constant motivation because your identity begins to change. You are no longer someone who is always waiting to feel ready. You become someone who acts with intention, And there is another small habit that can make a surprisingly deep difference. Stop beginning your day by comparing your life to someone else's. For many people, the first emotional experience of the morning is not gratitude, it is comparison. They wake up, reach for their phone, and immediately enter hundreds of other people's lives. Someone is traveling, someone is getting married, someone bought a house, someone launched a business, someone looks healthier, someone appears happier, someone is celebrating a success. And without realizing it, you begin measuring your private reality against someone else's public presentation. You see their result without seeing their struggle. You see the photograph without seeing the circumstances surrounding it. You see the announcement without seeing the years that came before it. Then you look at your own life, with all its unfinished projects and private difficulties, and conclude that you are behind. But behind whom? According to what timeline? According to whose definition of success? The Stoic path requires you to reclaim your own measuring stick. Your goal is not to become someone else. Your goal is to become more fully yourself. Instead of asking, "Why don't I have what they have?" ask, "Am I becoming better than I was?" Instead of asking, "Why is their life moving faster?" ask, "What is one thing I can improve today?" Instead of looking at someone else's destination and insulting your own journey, look at your own direction. Progress becomes much easier to recognize when you stop using another person's life as the ruler. You may discover that you have actually changed more than you thought. Maybe you are calmer than you used to be. Maybe you no longer chase people who don't value you. Maybe you are beginning to control your temper. Maybe you are learning to say no. Maybe you are finally taking responsibility for your choices. Maybe you survived something you once thought would destroy you. Those changes may never become a viral post. They still matter. A peaceful mind is not always dramatic. Sometimes growth looks like not sending the angry message. Sometimes strength looks like walking away without explaining yourself for the 100th time. Sometimes maturity looks like admitting that you were wrong. Sometimes happiness begins when you stop demanding that everyone understand you. And sometimes being happy with yourself means accepting that you are still becoming. You don't have to have everything figured out before you are allowed to enjoy your life. You don't have to reach the final version of yourself before you deserve peace. You are allowed to be a work in progress and still have a good day. You are allowed to have goals and still appreciate where you are. You are allowed to want more without hating what you currently have. That balance is one of the deepest forms of Stoic wisdom, because there is a difference between ambition and dissatisfaction. Ambition says, "I want to grow." Dissatisfaction says, "I cannot be happy until I become someone else." One gives you direction, the other steals your present. And if you learn to recognize that difference, you begin to experience life differently. The final habit we will explore in this part is learning to create small moments of solitude without turning solitude into loneliness. There is a difference between being alone and feeling abandoned. Being alone can become one of the most valuable spaces in your life when you learn how to use it. When you are constantly surrounded by noise, opinions, messages, notifications, entertainment, and other people's expectations, you can lose contact with your own thoughts. You start knowing what everyone else thinks before knowing what you think. Solitude gives you the opportunity to return to yourself. Take a walk without your phone constantly demanding your attention. Sit somewhere quiet. Write down what has been occupying your mind. Ask yourself what you actually want, what you are afraid of, what you have been avoiding, and what kind of person you are becoming. You may discover that some of the things making you unhappy are not actually your problems. They are borrowed expectations. You are chasing a lifestyle because someone convinced you it represents success. You are seeking approval because you learned to associate attention with worth. You are exhausted because you are trying to impress people who may not even be thinking about you. Solitude can expose those illusions. And when you begin removing what isn't yours, you create room for what is. Happiness with yourself is not a permanent emotional high. It is something quieter and more durable. It is being able to sit with yourself without constantly needing escape. It is knowing that your life can improve without believing that your current life is worthless. It is waking up and realizing that you don't need the entire world to change before you can begin changing the way you live. The small habits matter because your life is built from small moments. A single morning doesn't transform everything. A single walk doesn't transform everything. A single decision doesn't transform everything. But repeated choices slowly become patterns. Patterns become character. And character begins shaping the life you experience. You don't have to rebuild your entire life tonight. You only have to begin treating your ordinary moments differently. And once you do, something begins to happen. You start noticing that happiness was not always waiting somewhere far away. Some of it was hidden inside the life you were too distracted, too worried, or too dissatisfied to notice. And there are still deeper habits that can help you reclaim that feeling. Habits that go beyond simply changing your routine and begin changing the way you relate to yourself, your past, other people, and the future. That is where the transformation becomes even more powerful. There is another habit that can quietly change the way you experience your life. And it begins with something most people avoid. Learning to stop carrying yesterday into today. You cannot enjoy the present while constantly putting the past on trial. Maybe you made mistakes. Maybe you trusted the wrong person. Maybe you wasted years. Maybe you chose badly. Maybe someone hurt you. Maybe you missed opportunities that you wish you had taken. There may be things you would do differently if you could return to the past. But you cannot return. The past can teach you, but it cannot be lived again. And when you repeatedly punish yourself for something that cannot be changed, you are not correcting the past. You are simply allowing the past to continue hurting the present. The Stoics understood that wisdom requires learning from what happened without becoming imprisoned by it. There is a difference between regret and reflection. Regret says, I should have been different. Reflection says, I understand what happened, and I will make a wiser choice next time. One keeps you trapped. The other moves you forward. You don't have to approve of everything you have done to forgive yourself. You only need to understand that the person you were had the awareness, knowledge, fears, and circumstances available to them at that time. Perhaps you knew better. Perhaps you didn't. Either way, you know more now. And that knowledge is valuable only if you use it. A mistake becomes more meaningful when it becomes wisdom. A painful relationship becomes meaningful when it teaches you boundaries. A failure becomes meaningful when it teaches you preparation. A period of loneliness becomes meaningful when it teaches you how to stand independently. The goal is not to pretend that the past didn't hurt. The goal is to stop allowing it to decide what happens next. Another habit is learning to protect your attention. Your attention is one of the most valuable things you possess because wherever your attention goes, your emotional energy often follows. If you spend hours watching arguments, you carry anger into your evening. If you constantly consume negative news, you may begin experiencing the world as more frightening than it actually is. If you spend your time monitoring people you no longer have relationships with, you remain emotionally connected to lives you have already left. If you constantly consume content designed to make you feel inadequate, you eventually begin believing that inadequacy is your identity. You cannot fill your mind with chaos all day and expect peace to appear at night. The Stoics understood the importance of governing the mind. That doesn't mean controlling every thought that appears. It means becoming more selective about what you repeatedly feed your attention. Ask yourself what deserves your mental energy. Not everything deserves a reaction. Not every opinion deserves consideration. Not every argument deserves participation. Not every person deserves access to your emotional world. There is tremendous freedom in realizing that you can simply refuse to participate in certain forms of noise. You don't have to prove yourself to everyone. You don't have to respond to every criticism. You don't have to explain every decision. You don't have to win every argument. Sometimes peace begins with deciding that something is no longer worth your attention. And this leads to another habit that can make life enjoyable again: creating boundaries without feeling guilty about them. Many people are exhausted because they are constantly available. Available for everyone's problems. Available for every request. Available for every conversation. Available for people who only remember them when they need something. Eventually, resentment begins, replacing generosity. But healthy generosity cannot survive without boundaries. Saying no does not make you selfish. Sometimes it means you are finally taking responsibility for your own time. If you say yes to everything, you eventually begin saying no to yourself. No to your rest. No to your goals. No to your health. No to your peace. No to the people and activities that genuinely matter. A Stoic understands that time is limited. Because time is limited, it must be spent intentionally. You do not need to become cold. You need to become deliberate. You can care about people without carrying every problem they have. You can love someone without allowing them to disrespect you. You can forgive someone without giving them unlimited access to you. You can be kind without becoming available for exploitation. Boundaries are not walls designed to keep everyone out. They are doors that allow you to decide who and what receives access. Another habit is deliberately noticing what is already good. Gratitude sounds simple, but its power comes from repetition. The human mind has a natural tendency to notice threats, problems, and missing things. If you don't intentionally train your attention, dissatisfaction can become automatic. You can have a comfortable home and focus on what you don't own. You can have people who love you and focus on the one person who doesn't. You can have made enormous progress and focus on how far you still have to go. You can have survived difficult years and still criticize yourself for not moving faster. Gratitude doesn't mean pretending that your problems don't exist. It means refusing to let your problems become the only things you can see. There are probably ordinary things in your life that you would desperately want if they suddenly disappeared. Your ability to walk, your ability to speak, a person who cares about you, a safe place to sleep, a meal, a morning, a second chance, a mind capable of learning. These things can become invisible because they are familiar, but familiar does not mean insignificant. Sometimes happiness returns when you learn to see ordinary blessings with extraordinary attention. There is another habit that can change your relationship with life: doing something purely because you enjoy it. Not because it makes you money, not because it increases your status, not because it looks impressive, not because someone else will admire you, simply because you enjoy it. Read a book, take a walk, listen to music, cook something, draw, write, garden, exercise, watch the sky change in the evening, talk with someone who makes you laugh. There is a strange pressure in modern life to justify everything according to productivity. If something isn't building your career, increasing your income, improving your appearance, or advancing some measurable goal, people sometimes treat it as wasted time. But you are not a machine. You were not designed merely to produce. Rest has value. Play has value. Beauty has value. Laughter has value. A peaceful afternoon has value. Some moments don't need to become investments. Some moments are simply meant to be lived. And perhaps this is one of the most important things you can learn if you want to enjoy life again. Stop treating every moment as preparation for another moment. You can work toward tomorrow without sacrificing today. You can have ambition without becoming obsessed. You can build a better future while still appreciating the present. The Stoic does not reject pleasure. The Stoic rejects dependence. Enjoy what comes without making your happiness completely dependent upon it. If something good arrives, appreciate it. If it leaves, remember that its departure does not erase the value it brought while it was there. People come into your life. Some stay for decades. Some stay for a season. Some teach you. Some challenge you. Some hurt you. Some inspire you. The wise response is not to demand permanence from everything beautiful. It is to appreciate what is present while it is present. This applies to life itself. You do not know how many ordinary mornings remain. You do not know which conversation will become a treasured memory. You do not know which simple day you will someday wish you could experience again. That is why the ordinary deserves your attention. There is one final habit that ties everything together: becoming someone you genuinely enjoy spending time with. This may sound strange, but ask yourself honestly whether you like the way you treat yourself. Would you speak to a close friend the way you sometimes speak to yourself? Would you constantly remind them of every failure? Would you compare them to everyone around them? Would you tell them they are worthless because they haven't achieved enough? Would you refuse to forgive them for mistakes they made years ago? Probably not. Yet many people speak to themselves with a cruelty they would never show another person. Self-respect begins when the inner voice becomes more truthful and less destructive. You don't need to flatter yourself. You don't need to tell yourself that everything you do is perfect. You need honesty without cruelty. You can say, "I made a mistake and I need to improve." You don't have to say, "I am a failure." You can say, "I am not where I want to be." You don't have to say, "My life is worthless." You can say, "I need to make different choices." That distinction matters. A healthy mind corrects itself without destroying itself. You are going to spend the rest of your life with yourself. Make that relationship worth having. Learn your own patterns. Understand what drains you. Understand what gives you energy. Know when you need solitude. Know when you need connection. Know when to push yourself. Know when to rest. Know what you value. Know what you refuse to compromise. The more clearly you know yourself, the less dependent you become on other people's definitions of who you should be. And perhaps that is where real happiness begins. Not when everyone approves of you. Not when everything goes according to plan. Not when you finally become successful enough to impress the world. But when you stop abandoning yourself in order to be accepted by it. You begin to enjoy your own company. You stop running from quiet moments. You stop measuring every day by productivity. You stop turning every mistake into an identity. You stop comparing your journey to someone else's. You stop giving every stranger an opinion about your worth. You start noticing small pleasures. You start protecting your attention. You start keeping promises to yourself. You begin creating a life that feels meaningful even when nobody is watching. And slowly, something changes. The world may not look dramatically different. Your problems may not disappear. Your responsibilities may remain. But you become different inside those circumstances. The morning feels different because you are present. A simple meal feels different because you are grateful. A walk feels different because your mind is no longer racing. Solitude feels different because you no longer need constant distraction. Failure feels different because you understand that it is not your identity. Success feels different because you no longer need it to prove your worth. And life itself begins to feel different because you are finally participating in it instead of constantly evaluating whether it is good enough. That is what it means to become happy with yourself. It is not permanent excitement. It is not pretending that pain doesn't exist. It is not giving up on ambition. It is not becoming satisfied with mediocrity. It is becoming grounded enough to appreciate where you are while continuing to grow toward where you want to be. You can want more and still be grateful. You can be ambitious and still be peaceful. You can be alone and still feel whole. You can have problems and still experience beautiful moments. You can be unfinished and still be worthy of your own respect. The life you want may still require work, but perhaps you don't need to hate your current life while building it. Perhaps you can enjoy the journey. Perhaps you can stop waiting for permission to appreciate the day you are living right now. The Stoics understood that life becomes more precious when we recognize that it is temporary. Every ordinary day is moving toward becoming a memory. So don't spend all of your time waiting for the extraordinary. Look again at the ordinary. There may be more beauty there than you realized. A quiet morning, a meaningful conversation, a simple meal, a walk beneath the sky, a good book, a genuine laugh, a moment of peace after a difficult season, a decision to forgive yourself, a decision to begin again. These moments may never look impressive from the outside, but a life is not measured only by impressive moments. It is built from everything in between. So start small. Protect your attention. Keep promises to yourself. Stop comparing. Spend time alone without escaping yourself. Let the past teach you without allowing it to imprison you. Create boundaries. Notice what is good. Enjoy something without needing it to be productive. And speak to yourself like someone whose future you genuinely care about. You don't need to transform overnight. You don't need a completely different life before you can enjoy life again. Sometimes the new life begins when you finally learn how to experience the old one differently. And perhaps the person you've been searching for is not someone you need to become. Perhaps it is the person you were before you became convinced that you were never enough. Return to yourself slowly. Build yourself patiently. Choose peace deliberately. And remember that happiness is not always something you find. Sometimes it is something you stop preventing yourself from experiencing. If this message spoke to something inside you, and you want more lessons on discipline, self-control, emotional strength, wisdom, and living with greater purpose, subscribe to the Stoic Path. Stay with us as we continue walking the path toward a stronger mind, a calmer spirit, and a life you can genuinely respect.